morning, everyone. Today, this is my second topic on diseases of periradicular tissues, part 2. I'll be talking about the asymptomatic periradicular diseases. Before that, in the symptomatic section, I have to talk about phoenix abscess. So, before going to asymptomatic apical periodontitis diseases, I'll be talking about acute exacerbation of asymptomatic apical periodontitis. This is also called as phoenix abscess. Phoenix abscess is defined as acute inflammatory reaction superimposed on existing chronic lesion. So, it is nothing but where you have a chronic periapical lesion or a chronic asymptomatic apical periodontitis, long-standing lesion, when that is becomes acute exacerbation, that is called as acute exacerbation of asymptomatic apical periodontitis. This is also called as phoenix abscess. Phoenix abscess, commonly asked 2 marks question, phoenix abscess. You can write it as phoenix as abscess is defined as acute inflammatory reaction superimposed on existing chronic lesion. Okay, and then treatment for this is root canal therapy. Okay, so most commonly asked 2 marks question is phoenix abscess. Then radiographic findings, changes in bone at apical region. Okay, these are the radiographic findings. But what are the symptoms? The symptoms are similar to acute alveolar abscess. That is, patient will be having a swelling and mobile tooth will be mobile. There will be severe pain, and whenever the tooth touches to the opposite tooth, there will be severe pain. So, acute alveolar abscess and acute exacerbation of asymptomatic apical periodontitis clinically looks similar. So, the same condition which were there in acute alveolar abscess will also appear in phoenix abscess. That patient comes with a swelling and then he may have severe pain. All these things are similar. But when you come to the diagnosis, those two conditions are different. So, what is the uh, characteristic or distinguished feature between acute alveolar abscess and acute exacerbation of asymptomatic apical periodontitis or phoenix abscess is clinically both look similar, but when you take a radiograph, if you're seeing a lesion or bone loss at the apical region of the radiograph, that is called as phoenix abscess. But you don't see any changes in the radiograph, but just widening of the periodontal ligament space, that is acute alveolar abscess. So, symptoms as I told you previous, tooth is slender and slightly extruded, tooth is more painful and mobile, thrombing pain with diffuse swelling of overlying tissue. So, the similar symptoms what you see in acute alveolar abscess are also present in phoenix abscess. So, the treatment is root canal therapy and you need to give antibiotics. So, the distinguished feature between acute alveolar abscess and phoenix abscess is radiographic finding, where you see a bone loss or a lesion in the radiograph, that becomes a phoenix abscess. If it is not there, that will be an acute alveolar abscess. So the next one is asymptomatic periradicular diseases. The second section in the periradicular diseases is asymptomatic periradicular diseases. Under this, the first one is asymptomatic apical periodontitis. The name itself says that that condition is asymptomatic. Patient is not having any symptoms. So it occurs as a sequel of pulpal infection which spreads to the periradicular area and causes a periradicular inflammation. Since it is asymptomatic in nature, this is called as asymptomatic periradicular diseases. Asymptomatic apical periodontitis. So, where you can see a chronic long-standing inflammation in the apical area of the root that causes apical periodontitis, and since it is asymptomatic in nature, this is called as asymptomatic apical periodontitis. And the radiographic findings are there will be widening of the periodontal ligament space and bone loss in the periradicular region. Vitality test, the tooth is non-vital and the management is root canal therapy. The main clinical features are there. Since it is asymptomatic in nature, patient doesn't have any complaint regarding to that tooth. He may come back, he will come to the dentist, might be saying that he has a decay or food lodgement is there. And when you look at the radiograph, there will be a pulpal involvement and there will be a bone loss in the apical region. So it says that it is an asymptomatic apical periodontitis. So the next one is chronic alveolar abscess. This is also known as suppurative apical periodontitis, which is associated with gradual egress of irritant from root canal system into periradicular area, leading to formation of an exudate. So when you have a chronic apical periodontitis where there is an infection spreading from the pulpal to the periapical region, and that leads to pus formation in the apical region called as chronic alveolar abscess. The main difference between chronic alveolar abscess and acute alveolar abscess is chronic alveolar abscess you don't have any pain. Patient doesn't have any pain or swelling. Patient is totally asymptomatic. That is the main differentiating feature between acute alveolar abscess and chronic alveolar abscess. Then why does patient come to us? He comes to us stating that, sir, I'm having a bitter taste or a bad taste, something like oozing, like things are coming into my mouth, or oftenly I see a small swelling and it will subside by itself, and I can see a small growth in the gingival region. That's how the patient usually complains about the chronic alveolar abscess. They doesn't have any pain because there is no acute swelling or anything. The lesion is in such an extent that pus finds its own pathway and it comes out through the bone. That's why you can see a sinus tract formation. Whenever you don't have a path to come out of it, pus will accumulate and results in expanding the or pushing the tooth out. That is what you see in acute alveolar abscess. But whereas chronic alveolar abscess, pus finds a pathway, whichever least resistant area is there, and it comes out of that path. So that's why in chronic alveolar abscess you see a sinus tract formation, since pus is oozing out through the sinus tract. So there is no accumulation of pus or pressure buildup in chronic alveolar abscess. So patient is not having any pain. Clinically, patient is fine. Only thing is complaints of some type of discharge in his mouth or small swelling which will subside on its own. So these are the complaints. But when you look at the radiograph, you can easily see there will be a periapical lesion with bone loss in periradicular area, and tooth is totally non-vital, and the management is root canal therapy, and since pus discharge is there, you need to give antibiotics. So three things: acute alveolar abscess, phoenix abscess, and chronic alveolar abscess. Three abscesses are there. One is totally asymptomatic, that is chronic alveolar abscess. The remaining two are symptomatics, those are acute alveolar abscess and phoenix abscess. But when you look at the radiographic findings, you see bone loss in phoenix abscess and chronic alveolar abscess. But pain is not there in chronic alveolar abscess, whereas pain is present in phoenix abscess. So all three abscesses are there. All three are having a distinguished feature to identify from one another. So keep those things in mind and go to your final diagnosis. Okay, so we'll go to the next one, that is radicular cyst. This is an inflammatory cyst which results because of extension of infection from pulp into the surrounding periapical tissues. and this is usually asymptomatic. Radicular cyst is nothing but pulpal infection which spreads into the radicular area and results in the periapical lesion or periapical granuloma. When there is an epithelial lining or epithelial rest of molars gets activated, it forms a lining around that cavity and results in a cyst. That is basically radicular cyst, and usually it is asymptomatic. Patient doesn't have any complaint when he comes for routine radiographic examination, but when seeing any discoloration or anything, when you look at the radiograph, you see a lot of periapical lesion. And in the classification I told you before, there are two types of cyst, that is true cyst and the second one is base cyst. So this is a true cyst. You can see an epithelial lining that has no communication with the root canal, that the red lining is there, that is totally surrounded, and you have a cyst inside. That lining is not in association with the root canal space. So the cyst is independent in nature, that is not in connection with the pulp space of the tooth. That is called as true cyst. Now look at the second one, pocket cyst or a base cyst. Now there is an epithelial lined cystic cavity. It is in communication with the root canal system. That is, pulp space is extending with the epithelial lining. So the root canal space, the pulp space is in connecting with the epithelial lining. That's why it is called as pocket cyst. So epithelial lined cystic cavity is in communication with the root canal system. So these two figures I got it from Nishagar textbook. So this is the basic difference between a pocket cyst and a true cyst. When you look at the radiographic findings, it looks like ovoid shaped radiolucency surrounded by radio-opaque margin. But you cannot accurately say whether it is cyst or granuloma based on radiographic finding. You can only suggest it when you have a radiolucency surrounded by a radio-opaque margin, and vitality test shows it is non-vital. Management, root canal therapy and endodontic surgery, that is apicectomy. Okay, what is the two management? Now, where we need to do the root canal therapy and stop, or where you need to do the root canal therapy along with apicectomy. That is one important in this one. For both true cyst and base cyst, that is pocket cyst, we need to do the root canal therapy first. Okay, so it is a non-surgical management. Root canal therapy is a must. If it is a pocket cyst, that is a false cyst, since the epithelial lining is in connecting with the pulpal space, when you do the root canal therapy and you have removed all the pulpal infected area and microorganisms in the root canal space, automatically the base cyst will recede by itself. So root canal therapy is sufficient for pocket cyst or base cyst. So when you do a proper root canal therapy, take a preoperative radiograph, do a 2-visit root canal therapy where you can place an intracanal medicament in the intra-appointment dressing. If need, you can take one more sitting where single sitting is not indicated in this type of cases. So you can do a multiple visit root canal therapy and finish the obturation and call back the patient over a follow-up period, that is 1 month follow-up period, 3 months follow-up period and 6 months follow-up period. When you are looking in this follow-up periods, when there is no change in the size of the lesion and patient is totally asymptomatic and or the lesion size is getting reduced, so that shows it is a base cyst, pocket cyst. That means the cyst is getting resolved. But you have done a root canal therapy, but patient is complaining of pain or again pus formation. When the cyst is getting infected, then only you can see a pus. If cyst is not infected, you don't see a pus. Cyst is nothing but a semi-fluid or fluid substances which is surrounded by an epithelial lining but not with pus. Okay. So when you have done a root canal therapy and patient is coming back again with some sort of symptoms and you don't see any regress of the lesion, yes, you have to go for endodontic surgery with apicectomy. That is the treatment option. Since the true cyst is having a epithelial lining that is totally independent and it is not in connection with the pulpal space. When you do the root canal therapy, that epithelial lining is not interrupted. So true cyst doesn't resolve only with root canal therapy. That is the main important thing when you are dealing with radicular cyst. Radicular cyst, when the patient comes with a radicular cyst, first treatment protocol is multiple visit root canal therapy with intracanal medicament and look for the follow-up. In the follow-up, patient is not having any symptoms and the lesion is getting regressed, then it is solved. If the patient is having symptoms and the lesion is not getting regressed over a period of time, then you have to go for apicectomy. So based on the cyst, you have two treatment options. If it is a base cyst, only root canal therapy. If it is a true cyst, you have root canal therapy along with endodontic surgery, that is apicectomy. So we'll go to the next one, that is condensing osteitis. This occurs due to chronic long-standing infection of the pulp. Most of the times it is asymptomatic. Due to the chronic irritation, it results in osteoblastic or a proliferative action of bone in the periradicular area. So this is also called as focal sclerosing osteomyelitis. This is also called as focal sclerosing osteomyelitis. So condensing osteitis is also known as focal sclerosing osteomyelitis. So basically, because of the chronic infection in the pulp and it causes an irritation which results in osteoblastic or proliferative action of bone in the periradicular area. And in the classification I told you before, there are two types of cyst, that is true cyst and the second one is base cyst. Vitality test, the tooth is non-vital and the management is root canal therapy. The main clinical features are there. Since it is asymptomatic in nature, patient doesn't have any complaint regarding to that tooth. He may come back, he will come to the dentist, might be saying that he has a decay or food lodgement is there. And when you look at the radiograph, there will be a pulpal involvement and there will be a bone loss in the apical region. So it says that it is an asymptomatic apical periodontitis.